Minister Narendra Modi recently inaugurated an emergency landing facility on the NH 715K highway in Assam. The strip, located in a region of significant strategic sensitivity given its proximity to both the China and Myanmar borders, allows IAF fighter aircraft and transport jets to land, refuel, rearm, and take off from a highway surface rather than a conventional airfield. It is, in the most literal sense, a runway disguised as a road. An emergency landing strip, or ELS, is a specially reinforced and engineered section of a national highway that doubles as a military airstrip in times of conflict or national emergency. A standard highway is not built to absorb the weight, impact, and stress of a military fighter aircraft landing at several hundred kilometers per hour. India has been developing ELS infrastructure across multiple states with a clear pattern that reflects the strategic priorities of the defense establishment. In Rajasthan, the Gandav-Kimsar stretch on NH 925 was inaugurated in 2021 and was one of the most high-profile ELS demonstrations India has conducted, with Rafale fighters, Mirage 2000s, Jaguars, AN-32 transport aircraft, and helicopters all conducting touch-and-go operations on the strip. Rajasthan's proximity to the Pakistan border makes this location operationally significant in the most direct possible sense. In Andhra Pradesh, the Jakranpalli strip on NH44 was developed as part of the same broader program, extending ELS capability to the southern corridor. In Uttar Pradesh, a strip on the Lucknow-Agra Expressway demonstrated that the concept could be applied beyond the NHAI framework, broadening the potential network considerably. The Assam inauguration extends this network into the northeast, a theater that has historically been underserved by military airfield infrastructure and that faces the most complex geographic and strategic challenges of any region in India. In a conventional conflict, an adversary's first priority in the air domain is to destroy the enemy's air force on the ground. Emergency landing strips directly counter this threat through dispersal. If India's combat aircraft are not concentrated at a handful of known, fixed, and targetable airfields, but are instead distributed across dozens of highway strips spanning thousands of kilometers, the calculus of an adversary planning a first strike changes fundamentally. The focus on fighter aircraft can obscure another critical function of emergency landing strips, their role in military logistics. Transport aircraft, from the C-17 Globemasters to AN-32s, all can operate from ELS standard surfaces, turning highway strips into forward logistics nodes. An ELS network effectively creates a distributed air logistics system that is resilient to airfield attrition. In an Operation Sindoor-like scenario, the Pakistani military's most rational response to Indian airstrikes is to attempt to degrade the IAF's ability to continue. This is the precise vulnerability that ELS infrastructure addresses. Even if Pakistan knows the strip exists, striking every possible recovery location simultaneously requires a missile salvo that strains its inventory and invites further escalation. Highway strips in forward locations closer to the border than rear area main operating bases reduce the transit time between strike and recovery. An aircraft recovering to a highway strip 150 kilometers from the border rather than a main base 400 kilometers back saves perhaps 20 to 30 minutes per sortie in transit time alone. Across a fleet conducting multiple waves over 48 to 72 hours, it is a significant increase in total sorties generated. Mobile ground support units, fuel bowsers, weapons loading teams, basic maintenance crews pre-positioned at or near ELS locations translate that geographic advantage into actual combat power. The IAF has been developing and exercising exactly this kind of rapid forward deployment capability alongside its ELS infrastructure.
Highway strips in forward locations closer to the border than rear area main operating bases reduce the transit time between strike and recovery. An aircraft recovering to a highway strip 150 kilometers from the border rather than a main base 400 kilometers back saves perhaps 20 to 30 minutes per sortie in transit time alone. Across a fleet conducting multiple waves over 48 to 72 hours, that compounds into a significant increase in total sorties generated. Mobile ground support units, fuel bowsers, weapons loading teams, basic maintenance crews pre-positioned at or near ELS locations translate that geographic advantage into actual combat power. The IAF has been developing and exercising exactly this kind of rapid forward deployment capability alongside its ELS infrastructure.
When the Prime Minister stands on a highway in Assam and watches a fighter jet land on tarmac that was an hour earlier carrying civilian traffic, the audience is not only the Indian public. It is every defense planner in Beijing and Islamabad running the numbers on what it would take to ground the Indian Air Force.